Hello, world. Welcome to Self Fueling Excellence, your channel to be excellence. And it's all about you. That's the bottom line. And we're here today. We're super excited with our topic channel, Therapy Ish from Wounds to Wisdom, with the one and only Elizabeth Alegria. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Largent Media for this beautiful streaming channel, Self Fueling Excellence with Mark L. Madrid. And of course, to C Suite Media, the Hero Club, and C Suite Network for the podcast distribution. It's just living the dream. And I can't think of a better person to do it with than you, Elizabeth. And our topic today, are you ready for it? Are you ready for it? Here it is. Are you really happy or just pretending? Are you really happy or just pretending? Elizabeth, I can say a lot of things about your credibility, about your training as a just rock star entrepreneur. You're a psychotherapist, but can you tell us a little bit about you and your journey?
Sure, absolutely. Well, as some of you might already know, those of you that are close to me, my journey really started from very humble beginnings. I was born and raised on a ranch in Laredo, Texas, which is a tiny little spot in the map in South Texas. And through the course of a lot of academic endeavor, I became an educated person. And with that, I've decided to really dedicate my life to helping people improve the conditions of their lives through my mental health care company. So it's been a bit of a ride, but we're here.
Can you tell us some about your training and certainly about Gramercy and how you came about with that business name and some of the spots you've been in that makes you credible to be in this space talking to the world?
Sure. So, in regards to my training, I did train at Bellevue Hospital. I trained at a palliative care unit there as well as an inpatient unit. I also have worked in several prisons and jails. And so I've been invited into some pretty dire places because, again, folks generally will not call upon a therapist when things are going well. We're sort of a resource that people utilize when things are not. So, yeah, I have that experience. And in regards to Gramercy, Gramercy is my healthcare company. I started a mental health care company about 10 years ago with the initiative and the true intent of serving diverse communities. And we've been doing that for a decade now. So we've been extremely busy, as you can imagine.
And now integrating AI in a huge way.
Absolutely. We have invested in our own customized online platform. We are currently testing new AI features now and deciding with our legal counsel which will be appropriate to install into our platform. So we're really excited about what that's going to mean for people.
It's truly pioneering territory. We featured you on the Small Businesses Big Business podcast with Mark L.
Mhm.
Madrid at South by Southwest.
That's right.
And so, how does it feel to be a woman owned business and pioneering in this space? A topic that everybody's talking about mental health.
I mean, it's a really exciting time and a really, really fun time also in our company. And I got to tell you, we navigate so many challenges daily, not just with the patient care side of things that we do, but also with the payer side of things that we do because we accept insurance. Obviously, we want to make our services affordable and accessible. And that's the main reason we accept insurance. But it's just a great time to be exploring in this space. I feel like I get to work with some really talented people, some amazing clinicians. And so, yeah, I mean, we're having a blast. We're tired, we're busy, we're going at it.
It's real talk.
Yeah, but it's I mean, we're living our version of our dreams. So, yeah, we're super excited to have this opportunity right now.
And how does your family feel about it?
I mean, it depends on the day because I don't think I'm an easy person to live with sometimes. My schedule is chaos. One day I'm on a flight, another day I'm in the office, another day it's like 5 a.m. and I'm up, journaling about an idea that I had. So I think there's components of it that feel very exciting to them because without question, they've been able to do some really cool stuff. Um, I often hear from them that they're inspired, which I think is really cool. Anytime you're able to inspire or uplift anyone, I think you're on the right track. And then there are some days that it's just grueling,
Mm.
and my family is supportive. And there are days that are just exhausting, where you've given all that you have to give to the world and the society, and you come home and you're depleted. And thankfully, I'm in a very, very lucky position that I have people that I love and love me back waiting for me. And so, yeah, I mean, I think without question, my family's been incredibly supportive.
That's great. And we talk about family all the time.
Yeah.
You're one of the few people that I could call at 4 in the morning and at midnight. So there you go.
That's
So
true.
let's get to some real talk, some hashtag truth,
Yeah.
like really not being so, we'll be academic because I think that's important. But the most important part is relatability. Here it goes. How are you really happy or just pretending? Tell us more about this topic, please.
Yeah, I mean, and you and I talk about this all the time, right? I mean, I interface with people all the time, clients, employees, friends, families, neighbors, the whole thing. And and I'm a trained psychotherapist, which means that I've been trained to look beyond the thing that's happening to find the meaning. And I've been trained to
That sounds deep.
you can't you turn your training off, right? I mean, you don't always want to look at the things you see, but I mean, they're there, right? And so they're not avoidable to me. But yeah, I guess I see a lot of people pretending to be happy and trying to convince themselves and others around them that life is better than what it is for them. And I have so many feelings about that. But yeah, it's a common thing, and I see it all around me.
you know, I you just struck me at the heart, because I'm thinking about people close to me.
Yeah.
When I thought like this in the past, and just thinking about when I was in that position, I tried to convince myself
Hmm.
that I was happy, that I was good. I'm good. We've used before in other podcasts because that's such a one-liner that people, it's almost like a reflective response, right? But how does one, so let's say somebody out there is having that, like we hit you in the gut.
Yeah.
Like they're talking to me. Like when you're at that sermon and you're like, the pastor is talking directly at me. This message was for me. Maybe that's
Yeah.
happening to you right now. So if somebody is having that moment right now, where do we go from here?
I mean, I think folks need to really reflect and ask themselves, am I trying to motivate myself and encourage myself? Because that's one thing, and that's a great thing. And I don't want to take that from anybody, right? So if anyone is in the process of self-motivating or self-fueling or pushing themselves across a line, I think that's great. Keep going. Um, I guess this message is more for the people that have convinced themselves that they're happy in happy relationships. They've convinced themselves that they're okay with receiving less than what what they're owed and what's available to them. I'm talking about people that have convince themselves that they're okay with a lesser quality of life, and as a result are avoiding the work. They're avoiding looking at themselves in the mirror. They're avoiding looking at their relationships. They're avoiding really admitting how much they don't like their job or how much they don't like their in-laws or whatever the case may be, right? But I think it's important for folks to look within and ask themselves, what is this? What is the issue? Is it that I'm motivating myself? Because that's a good thing. Is it, I'm hopeful? That's a good thing too. It's not that. It's more, if it's more of what I just described, it's more of the latter, then I think folks really need to take the steps. And I think this is where people struggle, is they need to take the steps to look inward and look at the problem versus avoiding it, because I feel like avoidance robs everybody,
Ooh,
you
ooh.
know, and it specifically robs not just the person who's avoiding, but the people around them.
Avoidance robs everybody.
Yeah. And I get why people do it, right? I mean, it's uncomfortable to look at the things that aren't working, and it's uncomfortable to look at our relationships and say, "Ugh, I'm not super excited right now about what's happening." I mean, and sometimes we don't want to be critical of our partners too, so we keep a lot of stuff in. But I think we can go to our partners and say, "Hey, can I get a moment? Do you have like a minute to chat?" You pour a beer and you say, "You look really great today. I love you. Here's a beer. I want to thank you for how you showed up for our family today. You made us breakfast, you went to work, you went and did your thing. I just want to start there. You're amazing and I love you. Um, I also want to ask you a question because sometimes I feel isolated and alone and sad when we go a couple of weeks without intimacy. That makes me feel this way. And I guess I just want to ask if you feel similarly or, what that's like for you. And so what I'm saying, what I'm encouraging
Thank
folks
you
to
for
do
that
here,
example.
yeah,
I'm sure it resonated with a couple of you, maybe our own selves.
right. So so you don't have to go in and attack and criticize and be mean and you can turn gently. You can start off admitting to the love that you have, acknowledging the greatness that your partner has, talking about your experience briefly, and then asking them what they think. And open it up and see what happens because that's a way that you can stop avoiding. It's a way to really turn inward to yourself and ask yourself, self, how am I doing? And then turn to the relationship and say, this is what's going on and see what comes up.
And could that be a strategy for your own self? Like start with kindness when you're having that conversation with your own self
100%.
and then go there with oneself?
Absolutely. We cannot give what we do not have, and we cannot expect from others that which we are not willing to give. So, what I mean by that is if you are not kind to yourself, how can you be kind and loving to others, right? The most important relationship you're ever going to have is the one that you have with yourself. And no, that's not selfish, that's just a fact. And if I cannot be loving, motivating, uplifting, kind, gentle to myself, if I can't forgive myself for being human and screwing up sometimes, then how can I give that to anyone else? Right? And so when we talk about truth and really living a joyful life, it starts with that initial work of looking within and looking at yourself first, doing the work within yourself before you can bring that to your partnership.
And could this be an enabler? Like if one doesn't recognize this, could it be toxic and spread?
Oh yeah, I see people enabling each other all the time. And toxicity isn't always loud.
Ooh.
We think about the toxic relationships and we think
Wow.
about like the loud ones. And those are pretty obvious, right? Like you should not be hitting each other, throwing things, calling each other names, putting each other down. Like these are not pro-social qualities or interpersonal dynamics. But toxicity can also come in the form of avoiding each other and stonewalling, meaning I'm not talking to you. And if you talk to me, I'm not engaging you. So toxicity can come in many forms, and yeah, folks need to be careful. Um, and you call it enabling, and we call it something different in my field of practice. But yeah, it's the same
What do
thing.
you call
Yeah, I mean,
it?
you're like, what is the word?
Yeah.
I mean, you think a lot of, I mean, yeah, we call it like toxicity is one.
Yeah.
That's a big one, right? We call it codependency.
Mhm.
That's really the word I was leaning towards. But I mean, we see so many different variations of it that, but people deserve better for sure.
So, hopefully, we've convinced somebody out there, maybe our own selves. I'm not really happy, or I'm not really where I could be.
Yeah,
Because we're, again, our dream is to inspire excellence. And
yeah,
you define excellence, but we all know, in our own terms, I feel what excellence is
yeah,
relatively, right?
yeah.
So if you have that feeling that I'm not happy, and so
Hmm.
we've discussed a little bit of what can happen next, but now, like we do on this particular podcast right here and this streaming topic, give us an example of somebody who
Yeah.
didn't follow their instincts and saying, I'm not
Oh
really
God.
happy, um,
Yeah.
but I'm going to continue to pretend. What
I
happened?
I'm thinking of someone right now. And in this particular relationship, the the downfall into this into these people's depression because it's two people that are in the same relationship and they're both depressed in different ways and it manifests kind of differently. The downfall into depression for each of them was very quiet and it was very silent. And there was no screaming and fighting. There was none of that. There was just, I think, a mutual acknowledgement because I've talked to both of them. There was a mutual acknowledgement that they should not be married anymore. But for a variety of reasons, they're staying together. And as a result, they've both gained a lot of weight. They're avoiding each other all the time. He goes out without her. She goes out without him. They sleep in separate bedrooms, which isn't always a bad thing, right? But like in this particular situation, it's just a manifestation. It's a symptom of what's wrong. Um, but the bills get paid on time. They're both tending to their daily duties and responsibilities. But it's just it's sad because they're like shells of people sort of existing in the world. And I don't know, man, life's short. Life's really short. And the patients that I worked with in a palliative care unit at Bellevue Hospital taught me
Mm,
that.
mm,
Each one of my patients died. And
mm.
there were kids, there were teens, there were adults, there were elderly people. Um, Death does not care. When it's your time, it's your time. And I've always been very aware of that because what I learned working with these people. So personally, if I'm in a relationship that's working well and we start to have challenges, I look at that as normal. All relationships have challenges, but I'm looking for how we're going to problem solve. If I come up to this person and I say, "Hey, there's a problem, I want to talk about it," and this person turns away, or they don't have the skill sets because they just don't have the practice, I really have to investigate myself and ask, do I really have it in me to nurture this person and raise them and help them put the training wheels of communication on top of running two companies and raising kids and having to do all the things that I do? I mean, we all have to make that choice. Me personally, I'm not in that space anymore. Like, I just can't do that because the clock is only winding forward for me, and we're not as young as we used to be, Mark. So, I'm more mindful with time. But,
It
but
sounds like you had a wound in here and you went to wisdom.
oh yeah, for sure. We all have decisions to make, right? And when I've been in those moments, I've had to look, and it's like, is it worth the time investment? Do I have that kind of patience? And you
You had to
know,
check yourself.
yeah, for sure, 100%. And so, I've made my decisions, but what's happened after that is excellence.
And that's why
I
I was
mean,
going to
it's
ask you for a success story, but this has morphed perfectly into your own success story.
yeah, I'm living the dream. And I mean, like I said, it's not easy and there's a lot of challenges to it, but it's a very authentic, very honest life, one that's so robust. And I know so many people that have made similar decisions that have said, it's just not for me. I got to go my way. You go yours, and they part. And then what happens after that is there is a chapter of rebuilding, and it is tough. But then the hardships pass. And then the rebuilding happens, and people buoy up, and they buoy up with honesty. They're being fueled by passion, and they go into the things that they actually want to do. All that time that people are wasting on avoiding and you sort of crafting this reality that they have to like muster energy to have to deal with, all that goes away, and then it's invested in the things that they really want, the passions, the projects that really fuel them. And then that's when meaning and purpose come in, and now you're talking about a whole different level of life satisfaction.
Mm.
But you got to cut away, you got to be willing to lose things in order to gain in the long run. And I've done that a lot in my life, so
Wow, to
you know
buoy versus to drown. It sounds, thank you for that metaphor. Let's talk about real quick. We have a few minutes left, and then I want to get to your one to
yeah,
grow on. But let's talk about career. Am I
yeah.
really happy here or just pretending? Can you give us some sound bites on that?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think a lot of people struggle with being in jobs that they don't necessarily feel impassioned by anymore. Maybe the luster of the new job and the new team, the new work has sort of dulled away, and they're left with the repetitive motions of the day-to-day job. I think a lot of people struggle with this. Um, but what's unique about jobs, unlike relationships, is that jobs typically are related to the financial underpinnings of our lives. So, if you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, you hang out on the weekends, I mean, that's great, but that relationship is not dependent. It doesn't fuel your financial independence and health, right? Whereas going to your job, that's going to fuel your financial independence and health. So I think a lot of people struggle to leave jobs in the same way that they struggle to leave relationships, because there's an added element of responsibility. If I leave my job, what will the job market look like for me? Um, What does the earning income potential look like at that time? So there's a lot of doubts. And those of us that are in families, we think twice or three times before leaving a job because we're taking care of families. And I totally understand that. So I definitely want to validate that fear. Um, but again, I think there's ways to problem solve. I think that people can be very creative and solve their own problems alternatively. Um, maybe it's as simple as logging on to Indeed and just looking at the jobs that are out there. Maybe we're not ready to fill out applications or to move into action. Maybe we just need to take the first step, which is moving into exploration. What would life look like if it didn't look like this? Right. And so using that as an opportunity to just see what's out there.
I love it. Please explore. I mean, if we hit you right there to the heart as a follow up item, and we're going to talk about that in a second, please move on that. Please move on that. And this episode will be streaming at your choice in perpetuity on self fueling excellence. So the bottom line, when we get to the one to grow on that we
Mm,
do every
yeah.
podcast with you and every streaming topic, what is your one to grow on if somebody is sitting out there thinking, gosh, that's me.
Yeah.
And then the next thing, they're off and grabbing their Starbucks and it's back to like you said, the motions. What is your
Yeah.
counsel?
I would tell people to give themselves the gift of 5 to 10 minutes a day. Give
Mm,
yourself the gift because if you don't carve out that time, no one's going to. We're all adults, babe. No one's going to save the day for us. We have to do this work for ourselves. I would encourage folks to give themselves the gift of 5 to 10 minutes a day. I typically do so in the morning. That's when I do all my journaling, and really write out what life would look like if X was different or if Y was different. Let's say you are considering leaving a relationship and you just don't know how to do it. Give yourself the time, the space to explore. Take out a piece of paper and a pen and write out what your life would look like if you didn't have to deal with the avoidance in your relationship. Um, maybe life would look different if you went to couples counseling or something like that, and you guys were able to get some tailored, targeted solutions. Or if you are thinking of getting a different job, just go ahead and flesh it out. What would life look like if I didn't have this job and I had a different job? What type of job would you want? Um, I encourage you guys to get really detailed and into the nitty-gritty of exploring what life would look like if you didn't have the thing that you're holding, the thing that you feel is weighing you down, whether it's a relationship or a job that's just like you're over it now. Because in giving yourself permission to explore, you're taking a really important first steps. Action comes later, and maybe we're going to need some more time before we get there, but definitely a good first step would be to give yourself permission to explore, write things down, because when you write things down, you're making things more concrete. So I'd start there.
Take 5 to 10 minutes. That's the bottom line. Thank you for joining us on Therapy Ish from Wounds to Wisdom with Elizabeth Alegria, a topic channel on self fueling excellence with Mark L. Madrid. And we'll see you next time.
That's right.